Hello and welcome in. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and we thank you for joining us as always, and we thank you two for joining us. Morning Steve, morning Paul, how are you?
Morning. Yeah, good.
Good, everything's well? Paul?
It is, yeah.
Looking forward to the weekend?
I am indeed.
Size Produce Day?
It is, yeah. Easter, yeah, that'll be good.
3 meetings on a Saturday. It doesn't happen too often these days.
Riverton as well, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple of meetings Monday, so it's a big weekend.
Yeah, plenty to get sink our teeth into. But we want to look back at last week, Steve. First, Tauranga up north. What happened
Japan
there?
Trophy,
Yes, that's
Packing
right, Japan
Rockstar.
Trophy.
Very impressive win from Packing Rockstar. I thought the ride was sensational from Leith. He does really come up that level on Premier days and when the stakes level was up. Look, Packing Rockstar, it was 3 wide early stages. The first 600 was 1.5 lengths above standard, so they didn't go slow early doors. Leith Innes finally got to the rail around about the 1,000 metre mark. I think that was the crucial part of the race. From the 1,000s to the 600, Leith managed to put the brakes on, get away with a couple of cheap sectionals, and made his horse very hard to be run down the home straight at Tauranga, and it was a good win.
Tough in the end, wasn't it? I mean,
there's a few question marks over the
mile,
1,600 metres,
exactly,
and the way they went early doors, he had to get that break or that cushion run in between the 1,000 and the 600, and Leith managed to do that and then kick in the turn and just held on. So it was a good honest win from Packing Rockstar. And Rocket Spade got this one totally wrong. I took a set against him, the 3-year-old Derby winner, and he was too good coming from the back, albeit in a small field. Tina again. Look, she's not a leader. She prefers to chase. I don't know what was going on there, but nothing against the winner and Packing. And Rocket Spade, he was too good. Regardless of how Tina was ridden on Saturday, and so that was a couple of the performances that really stood out. Packing Rockstar and Rocket Spade. Let's
bring in Brendan Popwell in our Hamilton studio just to touch on Riccarton. It was a big day for a couple of trainers, or 3 trainers, but Stephen Marsh and Michael Pittman had a bit of a field day down there, BP.
It was a good day of racing, wasn't it, out of Riccarton? And as we mentioned last week, this is really going to set up the opportunity to get a good line off that meeting for the next few weeks out of Riccarton. A Tissue certainly was one of the winners of the day. Produced the right sectionals too, did it not? A Tissue with how that horse won that race. And Leela Walla at the same time was very good into second position. Then Belfacino, well placed in the Southland Breeders, was able to get the job done. So, good day of racing, and as you boys mentioned, Packing Rockstar and Rocket Spade, they were the two that delivered out of Tauranga on the weekend.
Absolutely.
That trick at Riccarton. They were running some closing sectionals. The circle races, look, overall, they're just standard times. Down the chute, they always run times down at Riccarton as they do at Trentham. But, it must have played close to a fast track down that straight from about the 600 onwards. A Tissue breaking 33, I think 32 and change, or sub 32. In fact, sub 32 for the last 600 a Tissue, and then you got rating 65 gallopers producing 32 and change for the last 600, or 33 and change. So,
Michael Pittman's team relished it.
Yeah, first 4 races. Well, he quite openly marks his horses are better on the firmer going, and that showed in the first 4 races.
Yeah, okay. Pops, what about a maiden of the week, mate? Have you got anything, spied anything during the week?
Yeah, I have. I did like a horse that won yesterday at Matamata, but I'd already sort of picked out my maiden of the week, but that horse is synchronised. That race is very good. Use it as a reference as you like, that particular 2-year-old race, because the winner was exceptional, a nice horse going forward, and there were a number of good runs in behind. But I'll take you back to Friday, New Plymouth, and this had to be right up there with one of the wins of the week, and especially from a maiden point of view. This 2-year-old by the name of Rangitoa. He's a son of Sham Express. He had a very wide gate to contend with. He came into this race with a very good trial under his belt. Bookmakers, they posted 3.5 on the day before and was crunched into $1.90 was Rangitoa, and he had to be every little bit of classy across the line to win that race because he was 3 wide the trip. Funny enough, I was actually out doing my shopping on that Friday evening in the supermarket, and a gentleman came down the aisle and he was just like, "Oh, we know what the maiden of the week's going to be, Big Popper." And and I was just like, "Oh, Rangitoa, the big boy by Sham Express," and he was just like, "Yes, that's the one. That's going to be the maiden of the week for sure." And then as we were standing there, I thought, well, we might as well keep talking to this gentleman, and I said, "Well, Rangitoa has been," did a little stop, and he added in the way too good, of course, from T. Lee. Didn't give us the way too good, but did Tony Lee on the line, but certainly was a very good win from Rangitoa winning last week out of New Plymouth.
Yeah, the reach of the leg up, getting all the way to Hamilton supermarkets. Steve, gee, we put 3.5 up, but gee, we had our chance, didn't we? Had no luck, Rangitoa there, no right to win really either.
Yeah, when the money comes for a Tony Pike galloper, not often do they get it wrong. And buy a Sham Express out of a Thorn Park mare, so it goes back to Windsor Park. I think they bred that 2-year-old and sold at the sales, and yeah, he's definitely got upside, and probably won't see the best of him until maybe the spring as a 3-year-old. But well found by punters, and I think it closed in the red around about 1.9.
Yeah. Speaking of closing in the red, man barely standing. Did you get on the synchronised train yesterday at Manawatu?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. Had a busy day yesterday, so
stop it.
Yeah, not quite as leisurely as
some of us.
Correct.
Okay,
a bit of a Madalenia about her.
Yeah, she was.
It's a real Oaks prospect. I know we're talking 12 months away, but just that same cross. We talk about it, Zavabel out of an O'Reilly mare, and quite an imposing 2-year-old. So I think they'll be pretty kind on it for the rest of its juvenile season.
But, well, it wound up though. I mean, it sort of got out of the trail. Danielle managed to extract it eventually, and I thought for half a second, she was going to flounder, but then.
And she showed talent at the trials too, so it was well identified. It was a pearl race, so they really set it up for that in terms of a maiden race, and it ran some nice sectionals late too. So pretty good horse, good horse.
Absolutely. Didn't forget to back her, as I often say here either. Okay. Big day Saturday, boys. Manawatu, the focus, obviously Sire's Produce Day. We've lost Sort of State. We can touch on that when we touch on the race, perhaps, out of that futures market. But let's start in race number 6, Steve. Higgins Concrete Manawatu Classic, 2,000 metres for the 3-year-olds, and talk about a loose market.
Very loose market, Thaddeus. Form coming everywhere from all sorts of directions. Darjan Sweet Jr. at $6. Milford Sound from the south, 6 out of point to $7. Shares that second line with Meg, who's also gone out of turn. Lord Ardmore coming back from the Derby at $10 with Tony B. Sea Jets at $11 with He's a Doozy. Pisoni at 12 off a shortener at 10. Joy Alone, one of the many fillies in the race, at 13. Yola at 14. Fleetwood Mac at 17s. Tannehill 19 out to 21. White Lightning also at 21. Clico at 31. And Marchioness also at $31. So, look, there's a slight lead around Darjan Sweet Jr. at a $6 price. Opened equal favour Milford Sound, but currently sits alone at the top of the book.
Yeah, okay, Pops. A good betting race, as they say. Many ways you can go. I mean, Darjan Sweet Jr. has been very good in its last couple of wins, and Milford Sound was our maidener of the week. I think if it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago.
That's right, bang on the money there, Thad. This is an intriguing race, isn't it? Because, look, let's say at the end of February, Darjan Sweet Jr. was still a maiden galloper and was a horse that was working and building, and then came out and won it at that $15 price in a maiden race at Matamata, and then blew them away the following start in a 65, where, look, the form is a hard one to work out of that race. All you can do is go on what he did, and he put them away by 7.5. So he looked good on the line, he looked good through the line. Opie sticks with the horse. There's a lot of good factors around him, and you're hearing the right noises from the stable to say that he has progressed, and he's going bang 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 with 3 runs in the space of 3.5 weeks. Is Darjan Sweet Jr. But he looks to be getting better with all that rock hard racing under his belt. I really do like Milford Sound with how this horse won last start to the races, and that was off the back of running second and a strong second in the Southland Guineas the start prior. So went straight back to a maiden race, but how the horse just lengthened in the last 200 metres of that race just gave you that indication that this is a runner that's really going to relish further and gets that opportunity to the 2,000 metres. So at this early stage, I'm leaning towards him over Darjan Sweet Jr., the two in the market. But then there's that next level. How do you work these next sort of Lord Ardmores, Tannehills, Fleetwood Maccas, those type of horses in the race? That's what makes it difficult around the Manawatu Classic, but certainly around the 2 in the market at this stage.
Yeah, they look good bets on paper, Paul, the 2 Pops mentions, but boy oh boy, there's plenty to sink your teeth into down the page. Tannehill out at 21s, it wasn't too bad in the Derby, but...
it's a wonderful betting race.
Yeah, it is.
Just wide open. I'm with BP here, really like the look of the favourite. Darjan Sweet Jr. Yeah, that win last time out over 2,100 metres I thought was super. Milford Sound. Lisa Allpress was on last time when he got the win, and this time she's on Meg, who bombed the start last time out, but just came flying home with some very good sectionals. So yeah, I don't mind the look of Meg, and I thought Tony B down the straight at Ellerslie to win was another one who looked super. So. Yeah, it's a wide open race. I love these sorts of races.
Yeah,
I'd love it to be in the quaddie.
Yeah, knock a few out. There's no doubt about that. Mathematically speaking, looks a bit of a trap race, Steve. It's a bit tricky, isn't it? You've got the horses that are up and coming that are miles stepping to 2,000. You've got the horses that have been there up over a distance that maybe haven't quite performed to expectation. Bloody hard to line up.
Yeah, and I think it's advantageous for these horses on Saturday, because we haven't touched on it yet, about track conditions that possibly have had that run over a mile and a quarter, mile and a half. Those horses potentially dropping back from a derby, or, as I mentioned, have had that one run over 2,000 metres. Because the tracks come up a slow 8, and there's the odd shower between now, Thursday morning, and race day. So I think race day is important. If we can get away with no rain, it might play on the better side of slow. Maybe hoping a dead 6, but there's definitely going to be some give in the track, and that might favour for some fillies and also the boys in the race if you've had that one run over a staying trip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see Tannehill out there at 21s. I mean, he was, not friendless in a derby. What's the thinking around him being out that high? I see he's a losing result currently.
Yeah, I think it's high. He's had high SPs in his last 2 or 3 runs, north of $20, including his 5th in the Waikato Guineas. I'm not sure his sweet spot is 2,000 metres. I think potentially could be a horse that might be 14, 16 as a 4-year-old. Definitely on pedigree suggests that around Tannehill. But I think working around his SPs, you're going to get a nice price around the number 2 in the box.
Yeah, and Lord Ardmore comes out of the Derby as well.
And look, Derby horses have had a good record in this race. I think you look back, 3 of the last 4 winners of this Manawatu Classic have come out of the Derby. Also, fillies are not a bad record. The last filly to win was back in 2015, Exquisite Jewel, and then 2014 we had Lady Conquart winning this race as well. So don't want to knock the fillies. There's 8 of them in this race, which they have a strong hold, considering there's only 15 runners. But yeah, look, I don't want to put anyone off looking to back a Derby runner. Heading into this particular race, because they've got a pretty good run in the last 3 to 4 years, including the Chosen One, etc. Yeah,
okay. Passione out of a lowland BP. Fleetwood Mac has been going very well. They're all out there at big double-figure prices. It's not for the faint-hearted, this race, is it, really?
No, it's not. And you mentioned the lowland former and Passione, and it's a good form reference, isn't it? With the horses that ran 1 and 2 in that race came out and ran 2nd and 3rd in the New Zealand Oaks. So that form has to be respected around that horse. The one horse I will be having a bet on as an each-way prospect is Yolo, and that is runner number 10, purely because of her ability to get through some track conditions that will be aided towards her. She's a daughter of Zed. She can get through slow and she can get through heavy ground, and we saw that with how she ran in the Sunline Vase behind Amaralina when finishing into 4th position. She was only beaten 4 lengths. She was working home through what was testing conditions by the time that race rolled around, the race before the Derby. So I feel as though she's the bet at the bigger quote that I want to have something on at 14s and sort of around that 3.5 for the play, somewhere around that mark. So she's the one away from the favourites that I do like at a bigger price.
Yeah, okay.
It's tricky around Yolo because she was meant to run last Sunday at Taranukau.
Yes.
Would have they run in this particular race had they run on Sunday? Possibly. So if that's the case, has she missed a run?
Yeah, okay.
And on testing track conditions, that could be a concern. As we say, she hasn't had that. Well, last run was in the early part of March in the Sunline Vase, but yeah, just an intriguing runner. The fact that we saw her accept for last Sunday, is this a backup race or was this always on the plan? You never quite know with Kevin Myers, do you?
Well, exactly. Could have been either. And he'd probably tell you it's worked out perfectly either way. But
have we mentioned Sea Jets?
Well, no, we haven't.
It's not often we go through a race where we don't mention Jamie Richards and his stable. So
that's a good point. Yeah, and even these runners that aren't in the market has sort of tend to exceed expectation. And Sea Jet's a good winner 2 starts ago at Te Raraha. Steve, what about Sea Jets?
Well, he's got the wet track form. From memory, he won his maiden race on an absolute bog at Te Raraha 4 or 5 starts back. So he ticks that box. Yeah, look, it's going to attract money purely on the Danielle Johnson, Jamie Richards factor alone. $11, I think it's found its mark. I can't see it shortening into single figures, but this is a market that can shuffle. There'll be a lot of movement in the betting ladder purely on the evenness of the race.
Yeah, they'll probably latch onto something. I like what your thoughts around Meg and Lisa Allpress following her that way, Paul. But give us a top 4 or a top 3 anyway in the Manawatu Classic, can you?
Yeah, I've got Dajian Sweet Jr. Up on top there. I like Meg just in behind.
Yep.
I did like the way that Tony B finished off last time out, so I'm throwing Tony B in there. And also, He's a Doozy.
He's a doozy. Hang on, as he runs to the book. Number 6. Oh, yes. Oh, Lisa Ladder. Sorry, yeah. Tell us about He's a Doozy.
Coming off a last start win at Trentham, I think it was. So, yeah, firing at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa Ladder's certainly coming right. BP, what about a top 4 from you, please?
Yeah, look, track conditions make this tricky, doesn't it? So I'll stick with the 2 favoured runners, even though they don't have the record to say that they can get through these conditions. So I'll go with Milford Sound just in front of Dajian Sweet Jr., but not with a lot of confidence, but happy to say that they can run close in the race. YOLO, I'm just going to play the Kevin Myers card and just hope that he can get it right, and we know what he can do. He's got a week to be able to try and get an extra run into the horse somehow by doing it at home or popping the horse over some logs or something. He is the master, is Kevin Myers. So I think this horse will really appreciate the conditions, YOLO. And Passione, maybe the 9, is the other horse that I could throw into the mix. Again, the wet track record, there's a placing on a slow track with this horse, but certainly more going through the lowland form reference where the horse finished into 5th position. So 4, 3, 10, 9.
Okay, cheers, BP. Let's get to the Group 1, boys. Race number 7. The Courtesy Ford Manawatu Sires Produce Stakes for the 2-year-olds, and we've lost Sort of State out of this race, Steve, but yet we still have Mtiaka dominating this market.
We do. 1-2 in the betting, including the Karaka Million winner on the bubbles. Open at 280. Best bat runner holds 2 times more money than the stablemate I Wish I Win at $3.40. Quick and Away, $7.50 out to 9. Bonnie Lass, very, very solid in that 4th line at $10. Shares the same quote as Hillaby, 9 out to 10. Fonzalet, 10 out to 12. Magneto, blinkers on, 18 out of point to 19. Lady Moral, 21 out of 23. Rainin' In, bit of speaking for the Royden Burgesson runner, 41 to 31. Soldier Boy, 41 with Cool Change. Wolfgang, Nest Egg, 51 each of 2. Martina Diva, 51 out to 71. But overall, they're really keen on the pointy end of the market on the bubbles. As I mentioned, 2 times more money than I Wish I Win, 280V, 340.
Yeah, well, the loss of Sort of State, BP, probably turns us into a slightly more interesting betting race. Can you see anything threatening these top 2 Tiaka runners in this market?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, for sure. Look, the way Bonnie Lass has gone this preparation and has worked up throughout the week. Now, I know the team are very happy with Bonnie Lass coming into the race. So Quick and Away has done enough in 3 starts off those 2 recent starts out at counties on the home track to say that he can be some sort of chance in the race. Magneto's been good enough to win a stakes race. So yeah, for sure, there is enough form in this race to say that these 2 horses won't get it all their own way. Look, in saying that, I am going to go for one of them though, and I'm going to go for a horse who's only had 1 start for 1 win at the venue, and that is I Wish I Win. And it's down to the fact that this horse he's been to Awapuni. He's also got, I think there's a bit of a liking for a track condition that has got a bit of forgiveness in it if you go through those couple of trials that we've seen from the horse on the synthetic, and the most recent of them at Cambridge on the 23rd of May. Boy, he travelled up kindly in that trial. There was, look, I think just get that indication there that the horse won't mind getting that little bit of toe into the ground for the weekend. Opie gains the ride, of course, with no Sort of State, good barrier draw. On the bubbles, of course, is that Line in the Sand horse, because he has been Group 1 place at his last start. He was chasing Sort of State home in the Waikato Stud Slipper, and of course he did win the Karaka Million. So he overcame a wide draw on that occasion, and he'll have to do so again on the weekend. So he is the obvious favourite with the runs on the board, but I think there is a lot of potential with I Wish I Win. He's worked up super this week. I know the team have got him in a really good spot, so I'm leaning towards him at the moment, runner number 4.
He was impressive, Steve, wasn't he? I wish I win. Opie Boston, nice, might say replacement rider. He gets off sort of state, obviously, but Jay Parks has struck up some sort of combination with on the bubbles. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's been dealt another wide draw around on the bubbles, barrier 13. So I'm sure, again, Jonathan Parks will look to be positive at some stage in the running. 1,400 metres, I don't think that's any negative around on the bubbles. And who knows, maybe the zone down the middle part of the straight could be the key later in the day if we do get those slow 7, slow 8 track conditions. So that possibly puts barrier 13 to that neutral position rather than a negative. Yeah, back on I Wish I Win, can't knock it. And you've got to really respect Jamie Richards, David Ellis and the team to late nom this horse. I see it's Waikato stud owned, so they would have had some sort of thought about late nomming this horse. And they must have a decent opinion around this galloper to step right up to Group 1 class, even though it's up against its own age, but only having its second start. So, and they get a decent line on their juveniles. They've got on the bubbles a few other horses, as you mentioned, Sort of State, to get a guide on how good I Wish I Win can be, and he's unbeaten, as BP mentioned, 3 trials, 3 wins, and a 1 race start at Awapuni. So no knock on the horse at 340. You just got to take a little bit of a trust because, as I mentioned, he's yet to compete in black type company.
Yeah, that's the worry, I guess. Paul, what are you seeing here, mate?
Well, they must have quite a bit of confidence in their I Wish I Win.
Yeah.
Once again, Opie draws a nice handy barrier. Barrier 5, so he'll be able to decide what he wants to do and will probably dictate terms from there. So I guess what does the stablemate do outside of that? I'm sure Jonathan will look to have on the bubbles a wee bit handier, if possible, further down
Just
the
give it
page.
that Karaka 2-year-old run where he just zooms across straight into the 1-1, won't he? Surely that'd be the plan.
I'm sure Opie will let that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Bonnie Lass. I was super impressed with that third behind the Tiako duo when sort of didn't quite get the start. I'm looking a wee bit further down the page. Look, as an each way go,
I like this when you start talking like this. Go.
I thought Nest Egg at 51s just got bumped and bustled at Trentham last time out, but finished off fairly well. So I thought Nest Egg at the 51, it'll probably drift as well. So you might get a wee bit more than that.
Yeah. Double figures the place, maybe.
I'll throw it in there somewhere.
I see Royden's got 2 in the race, Steve, and there's a little bit of money for the 7 reigned in, I see. Sacred Falls.
It comes out of that same race at Nest Egg, contested. Hillaby was the winner down the chute at Trentham over 1,200 metres. Didn't run time, but gee, it was a physical race. There was a lot of bashing and colliding with the juveniles who are fairly green. Still, a lot of them having their 1 or 2 starts. But reining in, look, it's still learning its ring craft. Drawn barrier 1, which will help, should get a nice guide by the rail. Whether that's the place to be remains to be seen, but has been specced, and we know the progeny of Sacred Falls like a little bit of fire out of the track, which should suit. And just go on the track conditions, which horses should really relish the slow tracks if it does eventuate later on that Saturday afternoon. Bonnie Lass, the dam won 2 of her 3 wins on a slow track, and super easy winners to runners on slower worse is around about 33%. So you can't knock that horse purely on pedigree to get through the slow track conditions.
We hadn't mentioned Aidan yet, BP, had we, with Bonnie Lass, but I remember Posh Beck. That was the dam of Bonnie Lass.
That's right.
Bonnie
Yeah.
Lass. On the cover. There you go, Aidan.
Oh, there we go. Look, yeah. I might get
How do you
Aidan to
swing
sign that.
How do you swing that? Yeah.
Look, she's a huge chance. She's Group 1 placed, isn't she? She's run 3rd behind both Sort of State and on the bubbles last time to the races. She was impressive with how she won the Manawatu Breeders. I mean, why not? Why is she not a chance, a bona fide chance at $10? And as I said beforehand, she has worked to say that she's in the right space to run a big Group 1 race once again in the size produce stakes. So I've got her right on my numbers, and I think she's a horse that you can, if you're looking to play something on the each way, she looks to be that horse at the $10 quote. Other horses that are worthy of mention, I think Magneto, the 2 at $19. He has a draw. He has won a stakes race. He won the Woburn Classic. He ran 4th in the Sistema Stakes. He's a horse who can position up. You'd imagine that they'll take a spot with him and put him in the race. Magneto, you've got horses like, look, even Wolfgang at a big price has been stakes placed this season twice, despite winning a race for that runner.
What about the Tiley pair, BP?
Yeah.
What about the Tiley pair? You got Quick and Away, who Overall time wasn't flash, 1.25 seconds below standard, but we know these juveniles can improve just on the back of one or two starts. Where do you place them, the Tylee pair?
Yeah, well, I mean, the three runners out of the stable all have got a reasonable chance, haven't they, I thought? I mean, you've got the 13, first of all, and Lady Morale, who did cause the upset when winning at Counties and what created a trifecta for Nigel on his home meeting, beating home Quick and Away and also beating home Cool Change. And then those horses have come out sort of a week or so later and have been able to run well, Quick and Away, getting the job done. I like what I've seen from Quick and Away, despite the figures not being there. I like his progress. I like how he's trialled, then he's gone through his first up run where he was working home from back in the field. Same again last 2 starts ago and then got the job done. What I will say, and this is a key bit of information around Quick and Away, is when we interviewed Nigel Tylee, when was it meeting? Last Wednesday when this horse won, he was a little concerned about the track sitting in that dead 4 bracket. He did say, I would love to see this horse on a dead 6 or somewhere around that slow bracket. He gets that on the weekend as Quick and Away, so I think that puts him in front of the other runners in terms of the 3 that he does have in the race, purely on what Nigel did say last Wednesday. I popped that little nugget away just so I could remember when the horse does strike a wet track. He'll strike a wet track on Saturday.
Yeah, okay. Quick and Away. Vancouver at a Better Life, Steve. Better Life was a Smarty Jones mare on the Kentucky Derby. You won't see too many.
He was pretty close to win the Triple Crown, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Pretty close.
Yeah, okay. That's very interesting breeding, I thought. Paul, top 4 in the Manawatu size, please.
Not surprisingly, I'll go with the...
After all that talk, we're going to end up back on Te Ako, aren't we?
Yeah, I've got On the Bubbles on top with I Wish I Win.
Yeah.
Bonnie Lass in there somewhere as well.
Hayden,
and then Nest Egg to just boost up the first 4 for us, hopefully.
You're roughly in the race, Nest Egg. Yeah, okay. BP, which way are you going the size, mate?
Look, I'll go I Wish I Win in front of On the Bubbles. So I'll go with the unproven, but possibly a horse who could be highly talented, and I Wish I Win in front of On the Bubbles. And then the 9 and the 5, the 5 and the 9. The 9 being Bonnie Lass with the form on the board so far with their Group 1 placing, and the 5, as I mentioned before, in Quick and Away, just with the likelihood of liking the fact that it's going to get its toe right into the ground for the weekend. So 4, 1, 9 and 5.
Yeah, okay.
On the Bubbles has managed to win this race on Saturday. He's right back into the conversation when it comes to 2-year-old of the year.
Yep.
Sort of State probably sits at the top right now. But if On the Bubbles was to win this, and then on the back of the Karaka Million win, it's pretty close. A decent conversation nevertheless. But
yeah, it's always where you put that Karaka 2-year-old, isn't it? It always seems to be where that, you know.
And look, that's not to say that Sort of State can't go over to Aussie and
one
do
size produce.
Exactly.
Would, probably
a little bit to play out in terms of that title.
Okay.
Look, you would say if Sort of State was to run in the first 3 in Australia, he gets it, doesn't he? Because he's won a Group 1 here in the size produce. And the other thing is that he couldn't run in the Karaka Million, could he? So, because he's not a Karaka Million eligible horse. You're right, Thad. It is tricky to try and position where that race sits for trying to work out 2-year-old of the year. I almost park it. That race because you don't get all 2-year-olds running in it. It's better to take the line off the 2 Group 1s.
Sort of State's 2-0 against On the Bubbles at Manawatu and also on the Sistema. So, but saying that, he comes back into conversation, as I mentioned, if On the Bubbles was to win the Group 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a worthy conversation, well, no doubt. Look, Paul with On the Bubbles, BP with I Wish I Win, and look, there's a little bit of money for Bonnie Lass, there's a little bit of money for Rein It In, for the Royd and Burgess and running there, and I'm also seeing a bit of money for Cool Change, the outsider of the Tylee pair. So, make of that what you will. Guys, race number 8 on the card. Let me get this right. Bram Crow Granite and Marble Flying Stakes, 1,400 metres, and a nice betting race here, Steve.
Very strong betting race, Thaddeus. Led by number 10 on Colorado Start, 4.8. Vigor Winner, 6.5. Rockin' Horse at 7. Deerfield, $9.50. Then we head to the double figures. Cavallo Veloce, $8.50 out to 10. Grand Mason, nice winner at Trentham last start, the Lightning, 10 out to 11. Ace Royale, $13. Motivation, 14. Lamia Stella, Streak of Power, 17 each of 2. Pierina, 19, no jockey, so question mark whether she starts. Stumpy, 21. More 1 to 26 with Petrichor and Shadows Cast. The Thornton Mile winner a few seasons back, 26 out to 34.
Well, good betting race here, Pops. The boys are gone with Colorado Star. It was a little bit unlucky last time in open handicap company, but yeah, you couldn't knock you if you took anything down the page here looking at it.
Yeah, gee, I found this race awfully hard. I really did. I do like what I saw in the Lightning race, for instance, the Rock and Horse form line. I mean, Grand Mason, let's touch on that horse. Such a hard horse to have a bet on, a hard horse to try and tip. Has had 3 starts at Awapuni and hasn't been able to get into the placings. But then if saved up for that last run like last time to the races, well, look, he's devastating. But he's just a tricky one to try and have something serious on, isn't it, with Grand Mason? I did like what I see from Rock and Horse on that occasion, though, to be able to finish into second position. I think Colorado Star has the right barrier draw to say that the horse can take a position. Good trial most recently at Foxton when held together in that trial. Deerfield, what about Deerfield? Now, this is a horse we've spoken about a lot because he's run in most of our good races this season. But coming back to the 1,400 metres, he's had a freshen up, he's had a trial where he's gone lickety split going forward. Is he in a space where he could run an almighty big race with the track conditions in that slow bracket? I just get this feeling, can he steal this at 950? He's been placed at Group 1 level twice this season. You go right back to his 1,400 metre performance in the Tarzino where he's run super. Is he the one that is a little bit forgotten? Look, he's not forgotten. He's in single figures. He's 4th favourite. But he's just one of those horses that can be just forgotten with what he's done this season. I feel as though he's the sneaky in the race, Deerfield.
Yeah, he's a funny one, Deerfield, and he's been up and down the distances, Steve, and he's back to 1,400 here. He tries awfully hard. He's run some... he's Group 1 second, as BP mentioned, so got to be respected, Deerfield.
Yeah, he deserves the weight of 59.5. He's just one of many horses that you don't want to knock if you're willing to take.
No.
It's that kind of race, a genuine open handicap. Look, I was pretty keen on Cavallo Veloce, even though it's eased a couple of points to double figures at $10. You look at its form, Grand Mason, it bet last start comfortably. It's won 3 of its last 4 starts, but Grand Mason's come on subsequently and won the Lightning Stakes, and it's better off in the weights versus Grand Mason. So there's a little bit of a form link you can work around there, and like I mentioned, Grand Mason right in the betting commission at $11. So, but again, there's plenty of ways to play it. Vigor winner 6.5, Colorado Star 4.8 will relish the track conditions. Rock and Horse has that similar form lines around Grand Mason, etc. Sits on the minimum. So look, there's plenty of ways to play it. Paul, This is a race where you'd love to play the middle market, surely.
Oh, I've got Deerfield on top.
Oh, okay. You're good, man.
I do. I just think, look, 59.5 kilos, fine. Won at Trentham over 1,200 metres, carrying 62 kilos. Has been running around in Group 1 company of late, so I think slots in here very, very nicely. I think Parks can probably get across quite easily and may get away with a couple of cheap sectionals mid-race and then off and gone by the time they get to the turn. I love the price, $9.50. Deerfield's on top for mine.
Yep.
I do like the look of Colorado Star, of course. Meets Vigor winner, 3 kilos better off when running second last time out to Vigor winners. So I do like the favourite as well. And I agree with BP, Rock and Horse, I think.
It was good at Ellerslie last time, wasn't it?
Very, very good.
Yeah, I like that run, Rock and Horse. It stepped up to open handicap very well indeed. Loves the joint Deerfield, didn't he, Paul?
He certainly does.
Awapuni. 5 wins or something from 9 attempts.
Indeed. Oh, and a big shout out to Brammers at Bramco. I'm sure they'll have a marquee on course this Saturday. If you want to know which one it is, it'll be the most animated marquee on course.
Do you get some specials on granite and the like on the day, do you think?
Well,
marble, your marble there.
If he picks the winner in the race, I'm sure we will.
Okay. Yeah, well, we might be with Deerfield if that's anything to go by. BP, final thoughts on this one. You're which way are you leaning or putting on? Who are you putting on top here in the classic, the flying stakes rather?
Well, I'm with Deerfield as well. I just feel as though this is a horse that. Look, Paul said it all. I don't think I need to say anything more. Just for the fact that this horse will love the ground and enjoys Awapuni. They're 2 key factors. In a race that looks open and tricky, I'm happy to take him at $9.50. Other chances, yes, Rock and Horse, with how that horse ran in the Lightning, the 10 and Colorado Star, like the way that horse has trialled it most recently, look like to say that he's right on target. then after that, sort of your Vigor winners, Cavella Veloces, look, Grand Mason. As I said, Grand Mason could be the one that could be flying home and dropping them all at the same stage if this can run up to what the horse did in the Lightning. But overall, I'll have something on Deerfield, number 2.
Oh, gee, your boys are lining up. It's as I say, it's always a worry. What about Ace Royale? Steve's in good form. It's a bit of a step up for Ace Royale, Kiwi Kenan, but it's been doing it well.
It has. Again, not surprised to see these horses that are lower in the ratings perform in the handicap conditions, and you can't knock it. Barrier 1 might be a touch concerning for the rider, but look, it's won 3 of its last 5 starts. Doesn't mind a little bit of give in the track. Yeah, again, I don't have a strong opinion in this race. It's one of many chances that I'm sure we'll attract a little bit of coin Ace Royale because it has reward punters this time in.
Okay, so what's the top 4? You and Pop's lining up here, Paul. Deerfield all the way. No strong opinions, and you boys are both settled on the same runner and really like it.
Yes, Deerfield on top for me. Colorado Star in there, Rocking Horse, and Grand Mason. I think he'll be there or thereabouts.
Can't catch that Grand Mason. Yeah, anyway. Did the job last time very well.
It's just got a very short, sharp sprint.
Right.
So it's got to be held up at the right time, get the split. So you rely a little bit of luck on getting those zones, those gaps in the last 200-300 metres, but it's got to be held up, and then bang, and try and finish over the top of them the last 2 strides. So it's never going to win by a big margin, Grand Mason, but Lisa rode it a treat at Trentham last start, and that's the way to ride it.
Ripping ride. Okay, the boys very keen on Deerfield. Race number 8 on the card. Race number 9, the last race we're going to have a look at today, the City of Palmerston North Awapuni Gold Cup Group 2. This is an intriguing little battle up over 2,000 metres here, Steve.
Oh, it's the race of the day, and it's no disrespect to the 2-year-olds earlier in the program being the Group 1, but what a race. Led by Coulson Mav, what a job he's done this time in at $4, first time over 1.25 miles for Coulson Mav. Savion Blanc, second line 4.8. Prix de Feu on the quick backup, 650 into 6. Bowden loves the joint, 650 in that 4th line. Royal Performer double figures 12. Sherwood Forest, the Derby winner from last year, 11 out to 13, no rider. Cinerama 12 out to 13. Tiptronic 14 out to 16. Mohaka 26. Dalcedo, Cern 8, 31 each of 2. Best of the rest, 100 pence at $34. So just looking at the betting in the league, Coulson Mav, well supported at $4. That price is not turning punters off in the first 12 hours of trading. And in fact, just lining up Savion Blanc holds 3 times more money than the second favourite does Coulson Mav.
Forget the Tancred BP. What about the Palmerston North Awapuni Gold Cup? What a race.
Yeah, it's a proper race, isn't it? And when you go through it, there's 5 Group 1 winners in the race. This is a unbelievable field. What could really tip it on its head, I guess, is the track conditions. There's a few in here out of these better performed horses that won't be looking for the slow track conditions. That is the one little against some of these runners. But yeah, this is a super race. I mean, you go through it. Coulson Mav, first of all, with what he's done this season, winning the Tarzino at a big price, placed in the Windsor Park Plate following, placed in the BCD Group Sprint, placed in the Altaki Weight for Age. He's had an unbelievable season and now steps up to the 2,000 metres. And what we have seen from him is that he won't mind some of that forgiveness in the ground. It's just about him getting out to the 2,000 metres. But huge respect around him. Royal Performer, winning the Herbie Dyke, and not that bad in the Bone Crusher with how that race panned out when finishing into 5th position. He has an awkward draw to work with. Bowden is a horse I like, but I'm really waiting on track conditions for him, because if this track is bordering on dead 6, better than slow 7, sort of dead 6, well, I'm in. But if it is sort of that 7 getting towards 8, then there's question marks for Bowden, and then there's probably question marks for a number of other horses that are in that same boat. Tiptronic, for instance. Wet track's a little bit like kryptonite for him. So I'm not sure about Tiptronic on a really wet surface, but he has had a very good Group 1 season again. He's got good Group 1 form at Weight for Age 2,000 metre races. For instance, he's won a Herbie Dyke, and he's been twice Group 1 placed at Weight for Age over 2,000 metres. So he's a quality horse, but again, it's just around what happens with track conditions with him. You've got a Derby winner in there in Sherwood Forest. You've got a horse in Cinerama who continues to blow the start, but only a couple of starts ago was placed in behind Melody Bell in a Group 1. This field is full of depth, And really, I'm sort of playing at this early stage a don't know card because of how the track might play. That's where I'm sort of sitting at the moment in terms of having a bet if I was betting today, Thursday morning.
Yeah, tricky, but boy, oh boy, Paul. I mean, we've all said it, but great field, many ways to slice. You've got Royal Performer out there at double figures. Cinerama will relish the 2,000. Hopefully we'll manage to get out of the gates. What are we thinking?
That's where I'm looking. I think Alan Sherrick might just be able to steal this one with Cinerama.
You're a brave man.
Look, from the wide barrow, we're going to go back anyway. So as long as
you're going to be back.
As long as we don't start 5 lengths behind the field.
That's the concern, isn't it?
Well, I think Cinerama's a huge chance at the price. If we're around that slow 7, slow 8, I just think Cinerama will be coming down the middle of the track where it's probably going to be best at that, or even a wee bit further out.
Yep.
I really like the look of Cinerama. Look, taking nothing away from the top of the market. Call sign Mav, of course, has to be in there somewhere. But I just thought Cinerama, this is set up beautifully.
The problem is with Cinerama, after 100 metres, she can be a 2% chance, right?
100%.
That's the gamble you're playing at a $13 price overall. So.
How do you line the Tiaka pair up, Steve? Sauvignon Blanc, Prix de Feur. You've obviously gone Savvy's way in terms of the marketplace. What did you make of Prix de Feur's run last time? And you'd think the step to 2,000 would certainly suit this runner.
Yeah, look, Prix de Feur missed the start as a hot favourite in the New Zealand Japan Trophy last Saturday. It was a hard case to make towards him that he would have won that race if he had jumped with them. Look, he finished 5th in the end and beaten less than a length. So, look, there's a few unlucky horses in that, including Syracuse, etc. I'm not convinced he would have won it if he'd jumped with them, Prix de Feur. But on the quick backup, interesting, because I think coming out of the stable, they like to space his races. So on the quick backup, 2,000 metres, Drawn Barrier 1, Opie Boston. So it's got a lot to play with in terms of a betting proposition. I'm keen for the stablemate, the mare in Sauvignon Blanc. I loved her resuming run at Ellerslie and behind Levante. They went out for the first 400, 1.5 seconds below standard, so it was a real sprint home, and she showed that dash in the last 600, producing 33.72 for that 600 split. And then her last 200 was just over 11 flat, 11.06, which was comparable to Levante. And if you watch that race through the line, she was right in Levante's face, about 100 metres past the line. So suggesting that, that sprint didn't quite suit her, but she got away with it being in that fresh state against Levante, which we know has probably the best sectionals in the country, closing sectionals. So stepping up to 2,000 metres, 3 or 4 weeks between runs, doesn't mind a little bit of yielding in the surface, so that's no negative. Sauvignon Blanc, I think she's primed and ready to go. And look, she may not start fave. I had her favourite personally, but with Coulson, Mav and the Group 1 quality around him, just that slight query 2,000 metres, I leant towards Sauvignon Blanc being 1-1 in the betting. But look, it'll be interesting in terms of the trading and how it develops on Saturday afternoon.
I want to just ask you about Sherwood Forest as well, because I mean you got him pretty safe in this marketplace as he's eased a little bit. The 4B double winners had a couple of runs back, but you obviously a fair bit of respect around Sherwood Forest.
Yeah,
we've
without
sort of seen
doubt.
it, have we, this time in yet?
Look, his overall figures and his last couple of runs are just fair. Sherwood Forest. It's hard to make out how he's come back this time in as a 4-year-old Sherwood Forest. Look, I don't want to judge him until he gets over 2,000, 2,400 metres, because we know he's a genuine stay. He's one of these 3-year-olds that is not dropping back to 16 as an older horse and just got through the staying journeys as a 3-year-old through quality and class. He was a genuine stayer, and that's why he won the New Zealand Derby this time last year, or just over 13, 14 months last year. So no jockey yet, no money. Is he starting? Probably not. I'll be a little bit query about betting into him as yet. We know it's a punting stable, Tony Pike, and they're very astute about placement. So, yeah, just a hard horse to grab, but I don't want to really knock the horse until I see him at 2,000 metres. Whether it will be Saturday, I'm not sure.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. We'll wait to see him up over ground before we pass judgment. What are your feelings about Coulson Mav, Pops, with the 2,000? Are you comfortable with him as favourite and that he will get out to? I think he's a deserving favourite. If he hadn't run into Avantage, we could be talking about good seasons. We could be talking about all timers for Coulson Mav.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with him getting a 2,000 metre trip, to be honest with you. And I just feel as though he is a runner that's better this season. He has, look, no doubtedly he's better. He's won Group 1 and been placed at Group 1 level. But that last run over 1,600 metres just gave me that indicator that, look, he was taking ground off Avantage. It got within a length of the runner in the Group 1 Otaki Weight for Age. They've spaced the race between that run, which was on the 27th of February, with a trial in between to then get ready for this race. Look, this is a $100,000 race. It's worth over 2,000 metres. They feel as though they've got him in the right space. He'll get through the conditions, no problem. Yep. I'm going to go with him. I just feel as though he has a couple of things in his favour in terms of conditions that he will like. I have very close next to call sign Mav Savion Blanc for what Stephen has spoken about. I mean, the horse has great form this season, City of Auckland Cup winner, second in the Waikato Cup, and you think, oh yeah, second in the Waikato, well, behind Ocean Billy, who's of course won the Auckland Cup. So second in a Counties Cup behind a horse who then went on to be Group 1 placed in Isabel Classic. So she has the right form lines to say that she can win this race also. So I'm around call sign Mav and Savion Blanc, and the other one is Bowden, just because of how well he's raced of late, how well he goes over 2,000 metres. He's won 2 Martin Cups carrying the grandstand last time out. He won with 60 kilos winning the Martin Cup. And then if you even go back further, I mean, he won the Topol Cup with 62 kilograms over 2,000 metres. He has won 10 races. He's a good horse. But the question mark is the track condition, isn't it, if it goes beyond that dead condition. My roughie in the race is Mohaka, number 16. Now, under the conditions of the race, look, she probably doesn't fare that well, but I just feel that she's a runner that's building momentum nicely. She's a great roughie at a big price. She'll get through the ground. She's been stakes placed on a dead 6 over 2,000 metres in a wall step stakes. Good placing in the cuddle behind Coventina Bay. She'll have to do a little bit of work from her outside barrier draw, but she's the one that'll be in that sort of second and third column for first 4 tickets, trying to get a slice of a first 4 that could pay nicely if a horse like her lobs into the placings.
Yeah, 100%. She won a cup recently as well on the track, didn't she? Which cup was it? A Martin Cup?
I don't think it was the Martin, it was Bowden.
No, true. No, it's all right. I'm just thinking of that.
Fielding Gold Cup.
Fielding Gold Cup. I'm not going mad. Okay, Mohaka down
John Barry,
53.5. Yeah.
Just touching on Coulson Mav, 2,000 metres. This is not a plan B or a plan C. He identified this race, I think, post Hawke's Bay in the early part or mid part of the spring around Coursign Mav. He wanted to get this horse to 2,000 metres this time in. He thought this was really its zone to do it. So they've been working back from this race months and months ago. So you just got to back the trainer. You just got to back the trainer, and he knows his horse inside out around Coursign Mav. But
yeah, it adds a real bit of spice to the race, doesn't it? Just that intrigue around whether he'll get it, and he's the favourite, and we've got some proven stayers there. Which way are you going, Paul, in the cup?
I'm sticking with Alan Sherrick to close out the meeting with a lovely victory.
I'll take that bet.
Cinerama. Funny you should say that, because one of the boys actually had Coursign Mav as a 10% chance in this race.
On the office?
Yes. It goes by the name of La Bomba, but
I might go see him later.
Yeah,
we'll catch up with him later on.
He was definitely willing to risk. So anyway, but Cinerama for me, and then the top 3 in the market and behind, Coursign Mav, Savion Blanc, and Prix de Feu.
Yeah, interesting, Bowden. I mean, he's won 10 races, 7 of them at Awapuni. So I mean,
BP nails it. It's all about track conditions with Bowden. It really is.
Yeah, okay. No, that's going to be very interesting. As we've said a number of times now, a fantastic race, that race number 9 out of Awapuni. Okay, boys, getting somewhere near time on the day. Maybe we'll talk about Aussie first.
Yeah,
big day in
Aussie. Can you steer us into a winner in the Tancred?
Well, I thought the Chosen One's a decent bet, isn't he? He's out around 15, 16,
14, 15,
something like that. I know Melody Bell's in the race. It would be an unbelievable story and swan song if she could get the job done. I heard some things about her tying up during the week. Steve, did you read that?
No, I didn't,
Melody Bell? Pops might know a bit more
on
about
the treble. Okay.
Melody Bell. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, I spoke to Jamie yesterday, and everything's
hot off the press. Thaddeus Taylor.
Oh no!
Everything's gone well with the preparation heading into the weekend. So I haven't heard that, Thad.
Okay, that could be terrible mail.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Disregard. Pretend I said nothing.
It's just an April Fool. Is there something we should know? You're doing a Volkswagen.
That's what we're putting it down to. Kiwis are starting to hit Sydney though now, BP, aren't they?
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Frontman. That's the horse I think that could provide a bit of excitement for Kiwi punters. A race where, look, Murray knows how to win, drawn one, Hugh Bowman aboard, on track towards the Derby, was super, I thought, in the Vodafone New Zealand Derby, just with how the preparation has gone for this horse. They've identified this race leading into the Derby, so and as you said, the chosen one, he is building nicely towards the Sydney Cup, isn't he? 3,200 metres is going to be his game. But you want to be seeing something from him on the weekend to suggest that he's on target for that, and I think he will run a race.
Yeah. The Bakers love taking a sort of a late 3-year-old, don't they? Like the front man. He ran such a good race in the Derby. He's got that timing again, and BP nailed it. He's been a front man for a wee while, but they do just sneak in with these 3-year-olds, and I see there's been a bit of money for it already, front man.
Yeah, absolutely. 460, just out of turn of 480, but Cherry Tortoni and Favreau for James McDonald, John Sargent. That's been the genuine mark. I think they posted $6 this time yesterday around that individual. But look, the frontman, the frontman, it's going to be called over in Australia. So just beware, punters. But look, his trial was okay, but it was trying against genuine sprinters over a shorter trip over in Australia last week. I wouldn't read too much into that. Baker Forsman, they love targeting this race on the quick back up to the 2-4.
Yeah, okay. You got anything for us in Oz, Paul?
Oh, I think BP's covered it all. These two boys, they've got it covered. Okay. Yeah, the chosen one.
Vinery, we've got a couple of Kiwis there.
Yeah, what is it?
Force of Will.
Oh, yeah, that's one of your old favourite spots.
Yeah, exactly.
Against Impecunious.
We're calling that a Kiwi? I guess we are, are we?
Yeah, it's a Kiwi. Former Pitman Galloper, trained by Kiwis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
what I will say about Force of Will is that she's a runner that took a little while to pull up from that race at Ellerslie. She's a horse that got the job done in that maiden as-out race, but didn't just stop right on the line. It was a horse that was still going on with the job, really chugged up that hill quite nicely, as we know that the hill just past the line at Ellerslie. And the same again in her exhibition gallop last Saturday at Tauranga. She's a horse that took a long time to pull up. She's had a really strong hit out last Saturday and has gone all the way down the back straight to pull up. So she's in the right space. 2,000 metres, the breeding is there to say that she can run a race over the 2,000 metres. So why not? Roll the dice. You're only 3 once. All those lines, they do start rolling out once again. So have a go. She's in form.
Yeah, $10, not a bad price. Force of Will and Impecunious there at $10, building towards an Oaks, I believe. Steve? Well, they all are, I guess, at this stage. Yeah, of course.
And you've got a full sister to Jon Snow and Princess Rhaenys that's been snuck up there by the Moody camp. I think it's got a bright future, whether it's his preparation, but it looks real staying fully just purely on pedigree. But lightly raced, it's only had, 3 starts for a win, or 2 starts for a win. So
There's one to keep an eye on. Oh, it's going to be heating up, and the Kiwis will be right in the thick of it. Rocket Spade into a Derby, surely he bolts in there, I'd suggest. Righto, guys, time to wind it up with the best bet, please. And, gee, we've got some work to do here, team. I'm going to be honest. You're not really inspiring our viewers with levels of confidence. Yeah, maybe I'll have to. Maybe it's I'm going to be called out of retirement. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to be going bad for me to put in.
If we're calling you in.
Well, exactly. No, point taken. Paul, we'll start with you. What have you got for us?
I'm looking at the Manawatu Classic this Saturday, and
you picked a tricky race.
Dejan Sweet Jr. Hey,
Jesus.
Sounds like the non-travelling reserve for NWA. Straight out of Cambridge, another super fast gelding. But the Baker Forsman team have got him cherry ripe. Opie Bosson on board from the 5 barrier. Yeah. I just think that victory last time out pretty much won with a leg in the air. So a Dejan Sweet Jr.
The non-trailering reserve for NWA.
That's the one.
Okay. You're going to blast out. It's a tough race, $6.
That'll get you well into the green.
Okay. You'll be back.
That's where I'm aiming.
Okay, fair enough. Stephen, what can you add to the mix?
I'll go up to Ellerslie. They've got a really nice card there. I think only 7 or 8 races there, but some nice races. I'm going with Babylon Berlin, race 4 in the Open 12. I just like the space she's in, the zone she's in. She's loving HQ at the minute this time in. 3 races there. You could arguably say she's the second best sprinting 3-year-old in the country, and behind Need I Say More. First up, third to Need I Say More in the Al Mansour Trophy, and then she won beating Contribute, a Tissue, etc. in a real strong race, and then just in her most latter race she ran second at 1,300 And behind Need I Say More. So dropping back to 1,200 positive. I think Sam Spratt jumps aboard. Perfect jockey profile for this horse that jumps and runs.
Yeah, okay. It wouldn't take much for you to sneak back into the green, so expecting to see some good
Even
things.
money at the moment will start in the red.
Yeah, okay. We'll take the $2 there. BP, finish strong, mate. You're our man. All the green in the world here. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't want to keep missing though. In the last couple of weeks we have with Belt Road and another entree. Babylon Berlin, you're right there, Stephen. That does look a cracking bet. Exacta with Princess Rihanna. That'll like a little bit of wet tracks if you're taking fixed exactas there in race number 4 with our new exotics promotion. I'm going to look to the first race at Ellerslie actually, and Prince of Talon. I thought this horse looks to have a bit of ability there, like how this horse won first up to the races at Hawke's Bay and then followed that up with a very good run when working home nicely enough in a strong race. It was a 65 that had a bit of depth to it, and we heard Paul Mawadi throwing out He's a Doozy as a chance on Saturday in the Manawatu Classic. Well, this horse was beaten by He's a Doozy in that 65 at Trentham. Comes back to a race where, look, there's a couple of runners there that will take some money ever so easy. Max, for instance, because they do bounce out of that Force of Will Maiden as at race on Auckland Cup Day. Good draw, lethal board for Tony Pike. We'll go with Prince of Talon as our best bet in race 1 at Ellerslie.
Yeah, okay. Any indication, Steve, at this stage, Prince of Talon? He mentioned a couple of Gibbs runners there in the market.
Compressed market in the top 3. I've rated around about a 29-30% chance.
Okay.
And just in behind are the Gibbs pair. So
just tick under $3 there, hopefully. Fingers crossed for BP. Busy weekend for you, Pops? Where are you going to be? You're supposed to be all hands to the pump, I guess.
Yeah. We'll be here in the studio looking after things with Ellerslie on Saturday. Bevan will be on track for Manawatu Size Day, which is going to be a super day there. And then, of course, we're back in here on Monday because we do have racing out of Tauranga. And then that'll roll into the following week where we do have our last Group 1 of the season out of Te Araha in the New Zealand Breeders. So looking forward to being on track for that one. So, busy old time coming up.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for your input as always, Pops, and your insights and tips and the like. Thank you, gentlemen. Looking forward to the long weekend. You'll have plenty of time off, Paul, I would assume.
I've got a full day on Saturday. It's a busy day on Saturday. You may have noticed there are 3 meetings, domestic thoroughbred meetings. So, there's a bit going on Saturday, but I've got Sunday off. So,
good.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 Easter eggs.
Egg, you want to squeeze one in?
Indeed.
Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you, Stephen, for your input. You'll be around on Saturday, will you?
Yeah, heading up the coast for a couple of nights, but back in the office on Saturday. And
lovely. You'll be adding to the coverage on Saturday afternoon?
I think so. Yep.
Fingers crossed?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Enjoy your long weekend, team. Enjoy the racing. We've got plenty of it, and it is top notch. And we'll see you in 7 days' time again. Join us on The Leg Up.